Today I'm flying on China Airlines' most modern aircraft, the A350 in premium economy, on one of their longest journeys, from Taipei, Taiwan to London Heathrow. With a plush seat, very decent food and drinks, and all-round goodness, is it worth your dollars, pounds or points to fly? Join me on this 14-hour pilgrimage. Now this is probably not a shot you'd expect to see from Taiwan. Peaceful, tranquil views, just a few miles from the city centre. This being my second visit, we spent 4 days in and around Taipei, a vibrant city I can certainly recommend on a stopover or longer visit. I had flown in on historical China Airlines rival EVA aboard their famous Kitty Jet, a video you can watch by tapping the banner. Alas, we had to depart for Taoyuan International Airport early thanks to the departure time. This meant we had to take an Uber, which isn't nearly as fast or cheap as public transport options. With a little bit of waiting upon arrival, we checked in using Sky Priority lanes thanks to my SkyTeam status. These signs had a little bit of a confusing description, with them being open to business and premium business class, the latter of which looks exactly the same as the former. Dedicated check-in desks can also be found for premium economy for a more rapid check-in experience compared to economy. Security, however, was a breeze, and soon enough we came across the most pointless escalators in the world. I seriously, even to this day, don't know what the point of these are. While we didn't come just for these escalators, we were heading across to the lounges. This isn't part of the premium economy experience, so skip it if you're not interested. All lounges in Terminal 1 can be found on the same corridor, or with the same lack of windows and natural lighting. It looks really busy here, but the majority of these passengers were actually queuing for the tiny Plaza Premium lounge next door. We, of course, thanks to SkyTeam status, were heading to the China Airlines operated lounge. This entrance is effectively for two lounges in one. The primary business class lounge that business and status passengers can use, as well as a smaller area for top tier China Airlines status holders in their Paragon lounges. And the feel of the actual lounge, despite being a large rectangle, it actually makes you feel quite at home. With warm lighting, a selection of seating for lounging and dining, it was a comfortable place to stay. Food options at this time of day consisted of a whole range of Taiwanese and Western options, notably the beef noodle bowls and dim sum, which were flavourful. There were plenty of drinks to find here, including alcoholic and okay quality coffee. If you're interested in learning a bit more about this lounge, you can read my full written review for the lounge at the link in the description. Is it my favourite lounge in the world? Far from it, thanks to the location of the lounges within the airport, but is it a pleasant place to spend an hour or so prior to a flight? Most definitely. Our departure from Taoyuan was at 0900, so we headed across to gate A6. The low ceilings here suggest that this is a pretty old airport, but they've done a decent job to still make areas feel modern. This should be resolved in future as the airport begins to introduce their Terminal 3 over the next 18 months or so into 2027. Once you get to the gates, they're actually quite large and many are themed in a certain way. This gate A6 focuses on the arts of Taiwan's indigenous people, featuring wood, bamboo and traditional textiles on one side. On the other side, some excellent views of aircraft movements on the apron, and including our parked A350 aircraft. Boarding soon began, albeit a little later than anticipated. My watch buzzed and we headed aboard. It was smooth enough, and thankfully people didn't try to board before their allotted time, something that always irritates me. Without getting into too much detail on China-Taiwan relations, what's the deal with China Airlines' name and branding? In short, both the Chinese mainland, governed as the People's Republic of China, and Taiwan, the Republic of China, claim to be the sole legitimate government of both the mainland and Taiwan. Different governing parties in Taiwan have led to flare-ups and relative calm in relations across straits. Neither government acknowledges the legitimacy of the other due to competing ideology of their two governmental systems, and ultimately both still consider themselves to be China. That is why on the mainland you have the likes of Air China, China Southern, China Eastern, while Taiwan has China Airlines, a much more premium airline which often unfairly gets confused with the much lesser Air China. China Airlines eschews any real symbols of the Republic of China or Taiwan on their aircraft. The tail displays the plum blossom, the national flower of Taiwan, and then the red blob next to the China Airlines wordmark is the company seal with the name in traditional Chinese, Zhonghua Hong Kong. The aircraft features a B registration, which is used for both Chinas, and there is no Republic of China flag, unlike say on UK aircraft which often display a UK flag. This means that the aircraft can be used to fly to the mainland following an agreement between the two governments in the 2000s. So in short, China Airlines is from the island of Taiwan, while Air China is from the mainland. Don't get them confused. And here's the rather swish, exclusive and dark cabin that was reminiscent of the lounge design we saw earlier. It looks good, I just wish they'd kept those window blinds open during boarding. The premium economy cabin is laid out in a 2-4-2 configuration. Today, we were sat in the left window seat. The China Airlines premium economy cabin goes heavy on the faux wood effect, but it kind of works alongside these grey-brown seat covers. It makes it feel relatively premium and not tacky like some of the Emirates fleet. 12.1-inch in-flight entertainment screens are located straight ahead. During boarding, advertisements for China Airlines or Taiwan adjacent things are played on loop. Boarding continued on and took a little while, albeit not as quick as Japanese airlines. With a view of a Wizz Air doppelganger in Peach Airlines of Japan, we were close to the departure runway. In spite of the clouds, we got some great views of the island as we left. This aircraft seemed to be in such good condition, we could see the livery glimmering in a reflection around the engine. Now with a bit of daylight in the cabin, as the crew were allowing us to open our blinds, albeit not many as the cabin was almost fully sold out. In daylight you can see the retro-modernist look of this seat, with this brown-grey fabric with a tweed-like look. Preferable, in my view, to a plastic or faux leather, the fabric seat is just a better choice when it comes down to comfort. Between the seats are adjustable reading lights and this random storage spot. For what? I'm not quite sure. Further down is a 110 volt international power outlet and USB port for each seat. I was able to use my 100-watt multi-charger on this flight with no issues at all, charging up my tablet, my phone and laptop at the same time. Then we have the remote control, a necessity owing to the distance the touchscreen display is from the seat, alongside the headphone jack. Above the seat is another couple of reading lights and a small display to show warnings like no smoking or buckling seatbelts. Unfortunately, absolutely zero air vents. Unlike Japanese aircraft cabins, which usually run way too hot, I found the aircraft quite a comfortable temperature, and at times I even had to use a blanket. The headrest adjusts in all the ways you would expect and provides quite a sturdy place to relax when you're in recline mode. Legroom was decent in this bulkhead row, with some caveats. At 187cm tall, I found it plenty comfy in the non-recline mode, as shown by my overactive feet here. In recline mode, though, it gets a bit more complicated. There is not a massive amount of support at the knees, and there is little space for my relatively small feet to sit. Closed shell seat design has its limitations. You either have a seat where this is less of an issue, like on Air Transat, but you end up reclining into somebody else's space, or you have this design which is more cocoon-like, but limits effective legroom when reclined. It's a poison pill, and the airline really has to decide which one is better, but you cannot have both. There were some truly lovely views outside these windows on this flight, but if you want a different kind of entertainment, onto that in-flight entertainment system, I used a remote control, but you could, theoretically and uncomfortably, use a touchscreen to navigate it. The system is quite a nice design and fluid in its usage. There were plenty of films to choose from, including Asian and Western cinema, including some questionable options, but it was a pretty decent selection for a long flight time like this. Also note how the airline has HD quality for almost all of its content. This might seem like a weird thing to call out 20 plus years on since HD went mainstream in other contexts, but all too often on aircraft you'll see SD content. Take my ANA flight from Tokyo to London a while back, you would get this beautiful 4K screen with a few quite generic 4K shows, yet most of the other content was in SD. So China Airlines having HD content on an HD screen, good call. Selection of shows was a little bit less impressive. Often there was many series, but just 1 or 2 episodes for each. On flights like this, it's really easy to binge on a program, and this is a bit of a shame. Mapping is provided by the ever excellent Panasonic Voyager 3D, a real good interactive system. It took quite a while to load on this system, but can be easily navigated to show your routing throughout the journey. One feature I haven't seen often is this synchronized watching feature with a seatmate. It's a nice feature where you can invite another passenger to watch the same content at the same time as you do, but on their own display. It's a nice way to feel interactive with people you're traveling with without having to share a screen. The headphones were quite standard issue for this travel class, own brand, passive noise cancelling headset that sit on your ears and would be way too uncomfortable to wear for the entire journey. I would bring your own, of course with the relevant adapter on your journey, and unfortunately the displays do not feature Bluetooth, so you couldn't connect AirPods or the like. Time for some food now. The tray table flips open from the armrest in 2 stages. Over time, these get a bit weak, especially since there's no support for the tray table on the other side. While not the strongest, it was enough to hold my meal, or, as you can see, my MacBook. A pamphlet was at the seat upon boarding, with the full list of the menu. This is not always a given, and is much appreciated. Passengers can also pre-order their preferred option on the janky China Airlines website up to a few weeks prior to the journey. The menu detailed both the primary meal and secondary service for later in the flight, followed by a quite nondescript list of beverages. I began with a small glass of sparkling wine and a cup of Diet Coke, unfortunately both in plastic. A small pack of mixed nuts were provided with this, sealed of course. And here's the meal, with the starter, fruit and snacks served on this tray. I opted for the steamed chicken and rice with pork sausage in lotus leaf, which is supposedly created with the Michelin Green Star restaurant Yangming Spring in Taiwan. You don't actually eat that leaf, just so you know, but when steamed provides additional protection and some extra flavour to the rice. Once open, out pops the chicken and pork sausage rice. In my view, quite a utilitarian and basic offering, but very well produced. The chicken was tender, the rice was not overcooked, and had plenty of flavour, and all round, I found it quite satisfying. It certainly won't be winning any presentation awards though. Metal cutlery was provided and always makes the act of eating the meal feel better. Happy Cow cheese was provided, clearly a cheap alternative to Laughing Cow. I finished up with a cup of coffee, weak as usual, a cute looking cookie and a small tub of Haagen-Dazs ice cream. Afterwards I headed to use one of the bathrooms. On the way in the galley, and for some of the flight, the crew make a selection of self-service snacks and drinks available here. I made some use of this, including taking a few biscuits, which is always a nice touch. Now onto the bathrooms. These are quite unique in that they constantly have ambient, relaxing music piped into them. A nice feature I don't think I've seen anywhere else on any airline, in economy, premium, business or first. It's a really nice feature. These facilities were kept constantly clean and were shared between business and premium economy. There was a selection of Sea Mild amenities in the bathroom, a brand I'm not familiar with but seemed good quality. Speaking of amenities, here's a kit that was provided, branded with the North Face. While it doesn't feel premium, it is an extremely useful kit, and I still use the bag as a cable bag today when I head out and about. Since this flight, China Airlines has swapped for a different brand, which you can see here from an article by Reese at Head for Points. A few hours later we settled in for meal number 2. This, despite being the late afternoon Taiwan time, was technically breakfast. Chicken fried noodles, which could have done with a bit more flavour or spice, but otherwise completely acceptable. A pretty style croissant, fresh fruit and coffee. A healthy portion for sure. And then as we headed further into Europe, we got an otherwise undocumented meal in the form of a sandwich with egg and ham. Of the turkey kind I think, but I couldn't quite place it. It wasn't great, and I didn't really eat much of it. But I don't think I've ever come across a flight where I've had free meal services provided. That is quite impressive. So with that, we began our descent into London, heading from the east over the Thames estuary. So in conclusion, what do I think of it? And after sampling a few different premium economy products from several airlines, from what can be described as marginally better economy to a truly differentiated cabin, I can say China Airlines offers an excellent product, even if it is compromised. The core seat is great, particularly if you're under about 5'10", 177 centimeters, thanks to the cocoon-like seat that does not intrude on fellow passengers when you recline. Food is very good, with plenty provided, and the entertainment is mostly passable and pretty okay. If you can get a ticket on China Airlines at a good price, maybe around 1.5 to 2 times more than economy, then it is worth the upgrade. I would fly this product again, despite being taller than 5'10", simply because it's A, available with Virgin points, and B, is a genuinely good halfway house between economy and business, when on other airlines it just is a mildly better economy with extra legroom. On this flight I paid 70,000 Virgin points plus taxes, which were relatively low as a one-way flight from Taipei. That's compared to 100,000 points, which isn't much extra for business class, albeit it's non-existent in terms of space. Flights on China Airlines do not appear on the Virgin Atlantic website, with you best using the live chat function or call center to check availability. If you'd like to learn a bit more about how to book this or other Virgin Atlantic Flying Club redemptions, be sure to watch my playlist up there. Thank you so much for watching today. What did you think of China Airlines A350 Premium Economy? Is it worth the extra over economy class? And is it worth the money? Drop me a comment down below. I apologise in advance. I apologise for my slightly sore throat this week, but you will see me next time when I hopefully sound a bit better. And in the meantime, happy flightings. Bye bye.